That would be a lot of fun.
Hello,
Hello.
hello. Welcome. We were saying, making very silly jokes just before going live, which is always a great idea. Um, hi,
Hello.
welcome to the Story Engine live stream. Roki, why don't you kick us off?
Yes. Welcome to the Story Engine live stream. This is the last live stream of our new series where we are launching our newest expansions. Thank you to everyone who has pre-ordered so far. We launched at the beginning of February. What a crazy day it was. We had 3 amazing new expansions, character questions, which we had on our first live stream, which you can catch in our replay. Our romance expansion, which seems to be a fan favorite and one of your most asked expansions, where we had guest Maggie K. Black join us as well, a Harlequin romance novelist extraordinaire. You can catch that one in the replay as well. And today we have our relationships expansion that we're going to be sharing with you all on our live stream. So it's been a crazy 3 weeks, right, guys?
Is anyone tuning in with us for the first time? Like, this is the first time you're joining us for a live stream here at the Story Engine. I'd be curious to know if we've got all kind of like people who are familiar with the decks or who know what we do in the chat, or if we've got some new folks. I think what we'll do really quickly is also say like a hi. We're the Story Engine.
Yes, of course. Hi, we're the Story Engine. I was going to get to that. I just thought I would, we've been talking about what a crazy 3 weeks it was. If you guys have joined us for all 3 live streams, let us know as well. I know there's a bunch of folks in the audience who I've seen around for many a live stream. So thank you for always joining us. Tara joining us first time today. This is her first time. First time. Oh my God, I got it. Got the joke. It took me a little long to get there. It's Friday. Okay.
Yeah. For those who don't know, Terra was our second when we launched the new expansions. It was literally order number 2 they came in. Terra has been, I think, part of every crowdfunding project we've done. So thank you, Terra. Thank you to all the day one folks.
Thank you to all the day one folks. You are the reasons why we keep on going. So without further ado, we are the Story Engine. We make amazing decks of creative storytelling prompts to help you, all of you folks in the audience and beyond, unlock your imaginations. You could have, whether it is one deck, just the Story Engine, getting 30 billion ideas, or if you have all our decks where you have quadrillions and quadrillions ideas, so many zeros of ideas, we will personally refund you if you end up exploiting every single one of those ideas if you have all of our decks. But whether you are a writer, a DM, an educator, someone who just wants to spend a little time getting creative, we're here for you. I'm Hiroki. I'm the CEO of the Story Engine. I keep the proverbial cogs spinning in the engine, making sure that all the little nooks and crannies are oiled at any given point. And over here to my right is...
Hello, I am Eric. I'm the community manager for the Story Engine, and I also do some of the creative work, including on these expansions.
Not Peter, Eric. Sorry, I'm looking at you, Peter. Referring to you, Eric. I think Eric has his first official writer's credit on the newest expansion now.
He's got writer's credit. He's first writer.
Lead writer. Sorry. Lead writer. You knew what I meant. It meant he had a fancy title. A fancy title was added to his name. And then through the screen here is...
And the reason that we were giggling the moment we logged on was Eric and I were trying to make our faces into one face across the shared bar in the middle. It's really hard. And then we started joking about a body horror expansion like right when the live light came on. So yeah, it was just funny that we handed over through our melted faces again. Hi, I'm Peter. I am the primary kind of designer and developer of our decks here at the Story Engine. So I developed Story Engine deck, Deck of Worlds, and Lore Masters deck. And I do this with a team of really talented folks who all support these efforts, from the people who work directly on the creative, like Eric, like Zach, our graphic designer, like Maggie, our collaborator on the romance expansion, to all the folks who like make it possible for us to have launches. So Hiroki, who does so much work on production, on coordinating our production schedules and making sure that things make it on time. Also on making sure that like we have the right samples to be able to make the final product as beautiful as possible. Like we really take pride in how beautifully designed and like elegantly packaged our decks are, and so much of that is possible because of Hiroki leading production. Also with support from our team member Masha, who's helped with that. I know that Alessia was a huge help in designing all of the pages so that we could actually get these products up on the website. And Rachel, who's been handling so much of our customer service and keeping us out of the trenches of customer service, also came up with the FAQ so that people could understand what the expansions are about, what the pre-order timelines are like, how the alpha is going to work. So we have just had like full court press on making this happen. So grateful to everyone for their efforts. It has been a really cool time to be part of the Story team.
Yeah, and then and of course Zach, our graphic designer. I don't know if you mentioned him as well. There were so many names being thrown out. Okay, good. But I was also thinking about our larger team too. Like Amo, who's our project manager over at our factory in China, who does such an incredible job. She is so meticulous in everything that she does, whether it is packing, detail, coming up with ideas for us as well, and how to make our packaging better and how to make our decks better. All our fulfillment teams across the world. Kind of handling when the new expansions come in, but also your day-to-day orders as well. We these are all human beings who all work, in a lot of the fulfillment hubs is we work with our small businesses or even family-owned businesses. So we really love that kind of group of kind of creative and weirdos that we all work with around the world. For those of you who have pre-ordered our newest expansions, let us know in the chat which one you are the most excited for as well, because I'd be super curious to know. I know you've been introduced to 2, and maybe we're doing a disservice to the relationships expansion because you haven't gotten the full pitch story yet.
In the email that we sent out today, I described this live stream as a mixer. We're all just going to get to know the expansion and all the characters we make with it,
as opposed to a speed dating event. Yeah, which we should have done last week. Was like,
I was going to say that would be last week.
Last week is the speed dating.
We actually did have at one point. Peter and I talked about, should we name this expansion something different other than relationships, just because it's like the first association is so often romance, and we already have the romance expansion. But then the subtitle of this deck is Best Friends and Bitter Rivals, and I think we're hoping that kind of makes it clear that it is not just amorous relationships.
Yeah.
The funny thing is that I think it was for the character questions expansion, because we had just gotten the alphas in our hand, the printed alpha versions, which is just a small run that we do so that we have these cards to show for you guys. Don't worry, guys. It's not that we got them all done in advance and we're just hiding them all from you. These are the ones with spelling errors, strange grammar mistakes, or things that you might not make it into the final deck. And I'm burying the lead here, but speaking of the alpha deck, of course, if you pre-order the full expansion set now, you get a chance to have the alpha deck PDFs for free. So you're going to be one of the first people to put your eyes on our newest expansions, as it's hitting the cutting room floor. We're going to be sending those out as of next week. So after this live stream is over, we're going to share the alpha deck with everyone who has pre-ordered our full expansion set. So these are kind of like the last. No, I think we will continue sharing the alphas with folks afterwards, right? I can't remember the rules. Yes. Okay.
Yeah, I think we'll keep the alpha fulfillment up and running for a little bit. We'll be distributing the files through FileMonk, which is how we normally deliver PDFs. But unlike right now, if you go and buy a PDF from the Story Engine store, you have basically lifetime access to that, or as long as the internet is running, and we'll make sure that you can get your files. For the alpha, you'll only be able to download it during the alpha period, and after that, we remove the files. So that is. Yeah,
March 31st, I believe, is when the alpha period ends. So if you pre-order before March 31st, you will be able to get the alphas.
Yeah, and if you guys are wondering what secret things you could get in the alpha deck, it's like you'll get characters like John Marina, who we don't think is going to make the final cut, but he may or may not still live in the alpha expansion. We'll see whether we decide to cut him before you guys get your hands on it. And who's John Marina, you'll just have to find out. You'll just have to dig through the alpha deck to find out. But Peter, when we were going into this live stream today, I was looking through our Instagram, and I saw you holding up the character questions expansion. And then I know Eric shared a picture of him holding up the relationships expansion. And I was looking at Eric's face, and I was like, what a sly smirk you have on it. You're like Gary from Pokemon. You're like the rival of the bitter rivals. And then Eric was like, is Peter Ash Ketchum then? And I looked at your photo, and you had this like big happy smile.
I do have a real like catch-em-all, like I'm on the I'm the image on the outside of a pack of Pokemon cards.
Yeah, yours was like and Eric's was like, And I was like, oh my god, that's like the best friends and bitter rivals imagery right there. It's almost like guys you go setting up for today's expansion.
Yeah, if anyone wants to create some headcanon for me and Eric and our relationship as in the cinematic social media universe of the Story Engine, this is your invitation to do so.
Well, I think we've talked a lot about the relationships expansion and what's about to come. So, Eric, do you want to share a little bit about the relationships expansion?
Yeah. I'm trying to remember now. Peter, you had the original idea for this one.
Yeah. This was I'd always wanted to do something where, and I think I really got thinking and cooking about this one after our live stream with CL Clark. CL Clark is a fantasy novelist who has these really powerful, really complex relationships that are kind of at the heart of a lot of their stories. And it's something that really opened my eyes to like how to do really interesting character dynamics and beyond just ones that are really obvious and that we've seen before, or ways to take an obvious character dynamic or character relationship and make it complicated or add a conflict to it in a way that really makes the characters richer individually and makes them the heart of the storytelling. So that's where it started from. But sorry, I jumped right in there, Eric.
No, because it was interesting because like it kind of like grew into, because we wanted to make it different from the other expansions we've done and different from for example from the backstory expansion in particular. And it kind of ended up becoming a thing about how well all of the characters know each other, like how well any two characters know each other. So that kind of became like the marching statement for the deck. Was we started like writing different kinds of relationships people have, and not as we said before, not just romantic relationships, but roommates, best friends, that one person at the office you don't like very much. It's like your nemesis who doesn't know they're a nemesis. Family members, siblings, just all these little passing acquaintances and connections that you could theoretically have with another human being just walking around. And it ended up, we started doing it kind of similar to the backstory expansion in the sense that it was going to be connections and then conflicts or ways to complicate the relationship. So it's kind of like an origin story for the relationship on the engine card, and then a direction for the relationship to go on the conflict card. It's kind of like the evolution that the deck took.
Yeah, it's a very similar structure to the backstory expansion, if you've used the backstory expansion before, where we have a very specific variant style of engine and conflict that are designed to kind of establish something interesting and then throw a complication that's going to be very difficult to solve for the characters. So yeah, it follows a similar logic to how it's set up. But yeah, just like Eric said, we really wanted to capture this wide breadth of different kinds of relationships and also ways that relationships can become thorny and complicated. So that was really fun to write, really fun to work on. And again, like with the other expansions that we were working on, we wrote so much material for this expansion, so much, to the point that I'm going to offer a slightly early peek just to give some context here. Moroki, can you tell me what is different about this engine card from the expansion as opposed to a regular engine?
There are so many engines.
There are so many engines. We
I
realized
didn't approve this many engines.
we doubled the end. This is like at some point we have to do one of those really corny 90s cereal ads where it's like, we put twice as many scoops of chocolate in the cereal. Oh no. So I have to do like the extra scoops of engines ad for
we need like some story engine machine. It's like a Victorian machine with these big cogs, and you'll be like, I came in with twice as many engines, and you're like throwing them in the machine, like starts like chugging faster and faster or something.
Yeah, we have to figure out how to do this. We absolutely have to figure out how to do this. But like the reason that we did this, like all jokes aside, was we had so much good material, and we realized that with the relationship setup, what we wanted was variety, but you didn't need to write a whole lot to establish that kind of variety. So we set ourselves a challenge to really tighten up the word count. But we wrote more than twice as much that we needed to otherwise. And then on top of that, still had to cut so much A+ material that we were like both heartbroken about. So this one is like jam-packed. The conflicts are complex and need the word count, so we only have 2 per card. There was no way to make that fit more. It would have really hurt the material, and that's something that we aren't going to do just to fit more material. But it was really fun to do something with the engines here and really cram it full of good material.
It was what ended up making the engines just what made it expand so much was there's so many ways for two people to know each other. And it all felt like if it was missing, we're missing something about the way that people connect. So it's like, for example, when you meet them, is it somebody you met as an adult? Is it somebody that you knew from childhood? Is it somebody that you haven't talked to in a long time, that you lost touch with, that you shared a secret with when you were younger? So there's just all these little nuances that really add a lot of flavor and character to the relationship between two people. And we wanted to get as much of that into the deck as possible.
Now that I think about it, I would say, like relationships, especially rivals to friends, is probably one of the most desired like tension and relationship buildups that we love experiencing as human beings outside of romance. And I think about that even in terms of like, like fiction and in my case, reality TV, because the thing is that there's a lot of cases it's about a bunch of people having some sort of rivalry with each other. And even when we see people being friends, we're always sort of waiting for the other shoe to drop. It's like, when is someone going to find out they betrayed each other, or that their like conscience is coming to play because they have conflicting needs and desires? Like, you're best friends with someone, but maybe your family comes first. And we always are following those relationships with such like intensity and desire. So I'm completely not surprised in hindsight how much material we'll have. And maybe to reference Maggie from last week, we were talking about the cutting room floor and how you often, doesn't matter whether it's something short like a poem or something like 100,000 word novel, you always need more words in order to get the best like angel share of material at the very end of it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, well said. Very well said. And the other thing that I thought I'd mention that was a unique challenge about this expansion that we worked on was, so if you have rivals and you want them to become friends, the way that we have built the architecture of the story engine is very much from a state where things are okay to a state where people are in trouble, right? We add conflict at the end. So how is the status quo disrupted? Something that we wanted to be able to do was model bad relationships where it starts bad. And so how do you have a conflict that introduces change, but that change isn't always negative? How can we write some cues that leave room for interpretations where actually the relationship gets better?
Yeah.
So if the whenever we write an expansion, if you look at like the groupings of cues, so for aspect cards, for example, writing on the main deck, we made sure that we have cues that fit multiple circumstances. So wealthy is an example of an adjective that would describe an agent, and every card needs to have at least 1 to 2 adjectives that describe an agent. But we also need adjectives that could describe objects, locations, events. So we actually have different brainstorming categories that we use to ensure that every card kind of has like all the vitamins you need to assemble the right kind of story, no matter what. It's part of the sort of behind the scenes balancing that goes into the design process. For the relationships expansion on the engine cards in particular, we were really careful about having a variety of past relationship establishments, so things that are like going to be in part of their background as characters, new currently established relationships, so what is the current dynamic or the current status quo, positively framed ones, and also negative or at least neutral ones, so that it's not always like two characters. We don't want people to fall into this very like lullaby pattern of like things are going good and then they go bad. We wanted to be able to create stories where things are bad and then they get better. Even doing that was something that the story engine has not had to have architecture for before, and it was a problem that we had to solve creatively on the conflict side by writing ambiguous conflicts where you could interpret like there's something new evolving between them could mean a lot of different things. So that's an example of like a neutral phrasing that lets you do different things from the starting point.
And that is really what we mean when we say it's not necessarily about introducing a conflict. It's about setting the relationship on a path where it has to change in some way. So it's like where does it go next? How does the relationship evolve? And it's like that could be bad. It could be good. It could be maybe they stay in a holding pattern. We like that's up to that kind of depends on the story. But it really is about making sure that like there is a next step, that it's not just going to be, well, we were acquaintances and now we're still acquaintances and nothing has changed. We're not like that's not a story. There's no story there. So it's about figuring out what the next chapter is.
In real life, it's very healthy for people to sometimes just stay good acquaintances.
But
doesn't make for good storytelling, I suppose. I did notice some folks in the audience, I think Kurama Naruto, writing, I think you were writing some rival relationships there. You're going to have to, who's this character? Bakugo and Midoriya. You have to tell us what fandom is it from. I actually would love to see in the audience if you guys have like favorite rivals or best friends relationships that you guys like that really have an impact on you or you think about a lot.
Or
and tell
favorite character duos in general. Like what are the character dynamic pairings that you've really like enjoyed?
Yeah. I think I clearly stated mine with Gary Oak and Ash Ketchum.
I mean, I'll pull out like the very famous one, Zuko and Aang.
Avatar.
Yep.
Avatar, yeah.
Yeah.
There's a particular model of relationship that I love. Someone once described it to me as the pale face and the red nose. So the red nose is a character who very much like lives in the moment and represents like go do what you want, have fun. They're always drinking. It's the red nose. It's kind of like a style of clowning almost. Where versus the pale face character, which is also a style of clowning, of the character who's always like a little bit nervous or like they're maybe a bit socially repressed and so they don't want to be seen like expressing themselves too much. And I love, especially in comedy, my favorite dynamic is the character who's uninhibited and but like gets themselves into trouble by not thinking enough, and the character who's over inhibited and afraid to do anything and kind of a stick in the mud who becomes the butt of that person's jokes, but also who ends up being right a lot of the time. It's one of my favorite character dynamics that I've seen, or character dynamics. The pale face and the red nose, so good.
We're getting like a slew of a treasure trove of different relationships from folks coming in, which really goes to show just how important these kinds of relationships are. I also want to go back up in the chat. I noticed earlier, I think it was Dragon Shadow. I think you said it was your first time joining us, as like your first live stream, as you discovered our decks today and bought them. So wow, welcome. Like, as first timer in the audience of like not only discovering who we are in our decks, buying them, and now coming to our live stream.
That's for Halloween.
This is why we should not start with body horror jokes right before the cameras go on.
I know, it just gets stuck in my mind. Live stream. Really appreciate you coming onto the live stream, getting a chance to know us first and foremost. You get a chance to like meet, all of us here at the Story Engine, or at least like half of the team right away. And we really hope you enjoy the decks. Hope you'll get a chance to join us for future live streams, and you'll be able to share some of your pulls and draws, as we go into that. We also have an amazing fan community group called the Story Engine Creative Collective. That's on Facebook and Discord. If you want to, these are all folks who are just super passionate creators. They're often sharing their ideas with each other, and sometimes even sharing like things like art, your draws, I think there's a Storage Wars thread where everyone just shares how they store their Story Engine. Lots and lots of cool stuff. So yeah, welcome to the community. We're so happy to have you. Folks, I know we probably want to get a chance to look at the expansion and do a demo. We have a very different format that we normally do it. Peter will explain it to you. Just a little bit different. If you guys have attended our first 2 live streams, you'll know how. But folks, if you guys have questions for us at any given point throughout the live stream, throw it in the chat as well. We're happy to answer as many of them as we can throughout the live stream. So, Peter, do you want to kind of walk people through the process of how we're going to be showing off the relationship expansions today?
Yeah. Let me set the table here. So we are going to be doing a demo, but unlike a lot of our demos where we do votes with the chat to pick out which prompt we're going to use, for the first bit of the demo, we're not going to do that. What we're trying to do is basically record like a pretty clean take of a demo that people who are thinking about using the expansion or have just bought it and want to see it can go through, watch for 5-10 minutes, and know exactly what they need to do to use the deck. So we're going to do a more clean, straightforward take. And then once we've done that, we're going to get back to our usual shenanigans. We're going to be calling on you guys to vote on your favorite prompts. We're going to be building prompts and experimenting together. We're going to be doing our weird corner tucks and extra advanced stuff for fun. But for the first one, we're just going to try and keep it very straightforward and clean so that we can demonstrate the basic principles behind the expansion and get people oriented in how to use it. So yeah, it's going to be like just 10 minutes of us being slightly more boring than usual. And then back to fun.
The rationale for us is that folks have often asked us, hey, do you have any how-to videos of using certain things? And we're always like, sort of. If you like watch our live stream, somewhere in the middle, we might demo something that you want to look at. And we hope that by doing a very concerted demo period, then we can timestamp that. And that way, people are like asking, how do we use the relationships expansion or romance expansion? We can just say, go here, watch this for 10 minutes, and then if you want to watch the rest of it for fun, you can. But at least we have the part clipped out now. See, this is us trying to kill 2 birds with 1 stone. And you guys, our audience, get a chance to just see us literally put together our resources in lifetime.
Cool. Well, let's get down to it. We'll do our demo of the relationships expansion. So yeah, if you are just coming in now as part of the replay crew, we're going to show you how to use the relationships expansion for the story engine deck. And there's a lot of different ways you can integrate it into any kind of prompt that you're creating with the story engine deck. And to walk you through how those combinations work, Maroki is going to explain sort of how this integrates to our other decks and deck systems.
Yeah, of course. So the relationships expansion, of course, is going to combine really, really well with the story engine. It is a story engine deck expansion after all. So, goes to show it combines with all the agent cards. And of course, it will combine with any of the expansions and booster sets as well. So we obviously have agent cards and in the expansions and boosters, and you can use it to create the character dynamics. Being engine cards and being conflict cards, you can see if you have the original story engine already, that is an opportunity for you to mix that into the engine cards and the conflict cards. I'm sure there's many advanced ways that we could also talk about. I'm sure Peter may or may not share some of those on the live stream, or we may discover new things, but that's just kind of the basic way you can do it. It can combine with the story engine deck and all our expansions and boosters so that you can have those powerful character dynamics. Of course, it can also combine with the Lore Masters deck, believe it or not. One of the reasons why is because Lore Masters deck, lore is about weaving factions and figures. For those of you who don't have Lore Masters deck yet, we have 8 different card pools that you can draw from so that you can build these huge, like bottom to top, bottoms up integrated lore, everything from like factions and figures and creatures and materials, locations, all of it to just really flesh out your world. So figures and factions, what are they but agents or like groups of agents together? So obviously, of course, you can use these relationship expansion to develop those dynamics, backgrounds, and lore links next with each other. Combine them with a figure for one individual, or you can combine them with a faction. So you can say like maybe the faction has a particular vendetta, or is maybe the entire group is going to face a conflict together, or they all have a mission for something. I think I covered the basis of it.
Yeah, exactly right. Exactly right. So basically, you can plug it in pretty much anywhere you want to, but there are a couple exceptions for how this deck works from how you would normally deploy an expansion, or sorry, you normally deploy an engine or a conflict. So let's talk about those. Like the backstory expansion, if you've ever seen it before, the relationship engines and relationship conflicts are variants, which means that they don't operate like normal engines and conflicts. So this is a relationship engine from the back here. You'll see it looks a little different than a regular engine. And on the card faces, again, you'll notice some differences. One is that there's an extra 2 options for which engine you choose. And the other is the little expansion icon in the bottom corner there, which just tells you that this is an engine from this expansion. So there's a couple ways you can mix this in with your cards. If you want to, you can just shuffle specifically the engine cards in with whatever your engine stack is and just have them come up randomly. When you do that, you need to make sure that whenever you draw a conflict card that is going to be paired with that engine, you draw a relationship conflict. You do not want to mix a relationship engine with a regular conflict, or a relationship conflict with a regular engine. You always want to pair relationship conflict, relationship engine within the prompt. The other thing you can do rather than mixing these in is just have them as a draw pile of their own. And when you're creating a prompt, if you ever think like, oh, I want to do a relationship focused prompt, you just draw from that instead of from your regular engines. Or after you finish a prompt, you can assess the prompt, look at 2 characters that you want to know more about the relationship, and then just add a connection point to them using the relationship expansion. So multiple ways to use it. They're all very easy, and we'll just show you one right now, live.
For
So
everyone
bringing out
to see.
the part of the
split face.
cards here.
Oh, I was split face for like half a second. Dramatic split face.
Nice. I like dramatic split face. It's a good look, especially for book covers and whatnot. But let's get cooking here. So I think what we're gonna do is do a regular story engine story seed prompt, except we're going to draw relationship engines instead of regular engines. So we'd start off as we would normally by drawing an agent card. Agents are characters in the story. We flip that over. We've got 4 prompts we can use. Maroki, this will be your choice. Is our story going to be about an explorer, a trailblazer, a tourist, or a diplomat?
Let's do a diplomat.
A diplomat. So as with all story engine prompts, you have multiple choices of cues along the edge of the card. You can rotate the card to consider which one, and when you choose one, you make sure that that's at the bottom facing you and place it down. That's now the active cue. If you ever change your mind, you just rotate the card, activate a different cue. Now this character is an explorer, but we've chosen Diplomat. Great. This Diplomat is going to have a relationship engine. So like we would normally draw a regular engine, which is going to give a motivation to this character. Instead, we are going to draw an engine for a relationship. What is the basis of the relationship with someone? So Eric, this will go to you. Did they lose touch with someone? Is it that they are or they were afraid of someone? Do they get along well with someone, or do they have leverage over someone?
Ooh. I'm torn between leverage or lost touch with. One is like are you a bad diplomat who like really lost stuff, like kind of like dropped a like spy down a hole or something, or but leverage over is very good for a diplomat.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking.
Let's go with leverage. I think
we'll talk about corner tucks after this because we're doing one straightforward prompt.
Yeah, I can only sense like
Yeah.
the desire to just be like, and let's do it this way.
So
We have Dragon Shadow here. We got to make sure that Dragon Shadow gets the 101 experience.
yeah, so this is how to do the basic prompt. So the other modification that you'll make when you are using these is that the relationship engines are designed to connect an agent and an agent. They're not designed to connect an agent and an anchor. If you haven't seen them before, anchor cards, as an anchor card from the regular main deck, not from the expansion. Anchor cards are, oh, whoa, this is actually from the a different expansion. I'm just going to pull that out. Surprise expansion card. So anchor cards are cards that have objects, locations, events, and other non-people things that are part of the story. So this card has a staircase, facility, a tattoo, a lock. However, these are not designed to work with the relationship cards. The relationship cards are always designed to connect two agents. So when you do randomly draw or choose to draw a relationship engine, you will always modify the card that it's going to connect to by replacing it with an agent instead of with an anchor. So we draw another agent card. So this is going to go to Eric as well, and then Moroki, you'll pick the conflict. Eric, our diplomat, has leverage over an artist, a musician, a writer, or a dancer.
I'm gonna go with artist.
Okay.
It sounds so much like the story of all of us as like young starving artists for a long time, trying to get sponsorships and trying to get like, support. And then the city goes, oh, well, you can perform the show if you let me like have my son be the star male actor in it or something. You're like,
Well, it's interesting. My first thought here, and we'll do some showing interpretations, because what happens when you finish the prompt is you start to interpret what you think it means. My first thought was like Russian political Cold War, like I can't remember what it's called, compromat, or that word they have for like when you have compromising blackmail on someone. So like a diplomat has leverage over an artist and can like convince them to like do work that expresses political or anti-political sentiments that are beneficial to them. Like I'm definitely imagining someone in that kind of space when I do it. But like you said, equally works with like a patron or a sponsor who has this kind of leverage from like maybe financially supporting an artist. There's multiple ways you can interpret these.
I feel like with the Olympics going on, it's almost like you were alluding to something, Peter.
Oh, I actually am very out of the news cycle right now, so I actually have no idea. Oh, wait, I think I do know. Yeah. Slava Ukraina. So here we go. We've got our conflict card. This is a relationship conflict. And you'll notice that the phrasing is slightly different from our normal conflicts. Normal conflicts often begin with but. These begin with and, because it's just a progression of what is happening next from the current state of things. So a diplomat has leverage over an artist. Moroki, this will go to you. And now one of them is behaving strangely. That's one of the diplomat and the artist. And now they are encountering an issue they cannot agree on. So they've finally come to a point
that has to be this one.
Okay.
Encountering an issue, because if you have leverage over someone and they can't agree, and there's clearly a power dynamic difference between the two of them, that will create some difficulties for sure.
One of my favorite types of conflict in storytelling, and it's on one of the cards in the relationship conflicts, is when there's like kind of an unspoken rule that has governed the truce, or at least the current power levels between two people, and then the unspoken rule either gets broken or now needs to be spoken about for the first time. And the way that shifts the power balance, the way that shifts expectations and assumptions, the way that it can turn toxic something that was not at least on the surface toxic at first. That's always so interesting in storytelling. And what we'll do, just to complete the prompt as per normal, when you are doing a story engine story seed, the last card type you draw is an aspect card. So this aspect card is from the regular main deck. Both of these agent cards are from the regular main deck. The relationship conflicts and relationship engines, there's 30 engines, there's 30 conflicts, so the whole expansion is just engines and conflicts. There are no agents, there are no anchors, there are no aspects. So this is a regular aspect card just for the sake of completing the prompt, as we normally do. So we could use one of these adjectives to describe the diplomat, the artist, it could describe the leverage, it could describe the issue that they're having. It could be a secret, scarred, illusory, or generous. So Maroki, I'll stay with you on this one. The diplomat, the leverage, the artist, the issue that they can't agree on. Is it secret, scarred, illusory, or generous?
Is it weird? I want to, not weird. Kind of want to do like a scarred diplomat.
Okay. Yeah.
And it could be like, it could be either physical scar, so that it's representative of whatever like conflict they've had in the past, or it could be internal scar.
Yeah.
Like they have some emotional scars that's causing them to that is influence, like that is leaving them with some sort of chip on their shoulder, which is why they're doing things like having leverage over other people.
I like the idea that they survived an assassination attempt and they have a literal chip in their shoulder, like from the grazing wound. But yeah, and this is, we have the 5 card types. We've used all of them. We have 2 characters that are at the heart of a story that evolves into a conflict, where we have an initial state for the relationship and then an evolution or a complication that's added to it. And we could go ahead and write from this. This, I think, could very easily be a really interesting spy thriller type story, but with a bit more like of a heart and an artist angle to it. I would be really interested to see how that story evolves. So that's one way to use it, which is just you choose to draw a relationship engine in place of a regular engine, and you build the story around that. We're going to show you one more way you can use it that's simple and straightforward, and then we'll go ahead and do some more fun freeform prompts, bring the chat into vote. But this is going to be the second half of the demo we'll do right now.
The question I have for you, Peter, are these 2 best friends or bitter rivals?
I think that on the surface they appear to be best friends. I think when they are in public and taking pictures together at social events, it's like the big smiles. But I think that there is a rivalry that grows as they realize that the piece that held the relationship together was only because it was working for both of them, and now that it's not working for both of them, the knives are going to come out. I also think this could be one of those great things where the rivalry has to play out through kind of more covert actions. Like they can't directly aggress on each other or escalate, so they have to like do things to undermine each other in quiet ways. I think that'd be a really interesting way, especially for a public relationship, to break down.
Good question that's coming in here. If the relationship conflicts start with and now, similar to the backstory conflicts, can you combine the relationship engines with the backstory conflicts as well?
The answer is yes. There are some caveats. The backstory conflicts can almost all be used with relationship engines. It does not go the other way, though. Because of the phrasing and the specificity of these agent-to-agent based conflicts, where it's like one of them, both of them, these won't work for all of the backstory engines. They'll only work for some by coincidence. So I wouldn't recommend like going in with the intention of doing this. It can work. But something that you can pretty much rely on is that you could take backstory conflicts and pair them with relationship engines fairly reliably, like I'd say almost as seamlessly as if you were using relationship conflicts. Yeah, so great. That's a really, really great question.
Yeah, and not that I've really attempted this myself yet, so I'm about to suggest something that may or may not actually be applicable. But one of the things I always encourage folks to do too is there's an opportunity to always sort of stretch beyond what the prompt is telling you in a literal way. I know a lot of times when we, we all of us have done a lot of demos for folks at this point, especially at Gen Con when we're literally doing them every other minute, and we come up with some wacky things, right? And the thing is, I always use the first card I draw, no matter what, even if it seems like it doesn't make sense. And it's interesting because sometimes I'll say something that, like, it'll be, I don't know, there maybe the region, let's say we're doing Deck of Worlds, regions in a lake, and then there'll be like a tower. And people are like, that doesn't make sense. Or they'll say, like they, I don't know, like they want to accomplish something with, and then they'll get an object that maybe sounds a little more inconsequential, like a hairpin or something. They're like, well, this sounds silly. And I'm like, is it though? Like, is there ways you can look beyond that? And maybe if you pull something that doesn't seem like it fully works, you might be able to kind of use at least the idea that you're being prompted with to suggest, hey, well, maybe it is a singular relationship dynamic struggle, or maybe that dynamic is tied to an object in some way because maybe there's a memory associated with it. So we're always welcome to give it a try, I guess. Like, there's really, remember, like, using our deck is free flowing. They are meant to be guidelines before we are trying to say, like, it has to be this. There's no right or wrong.
We do say that there's no wrong way to use it. And this came up earlier in the chat. This expansion is designed to connect two characters and make a relationship between people. It's in that regard, it's like usually going to be two anchor, or sort of two agents, and not an agent and an anchor. But if you really want to use an anchor, we had this come up earlier. I like the notion of a diplomat losing touch with a stairway, and then just falling down. Like, there's always ways to interpret a relationship between a person and an object, or between two objects. So if you want to go for it, if you find it fun, there's absolutely nothing stopping you. When we say that it's made for connecting characters, that's just the way we approached it as designers. But there is no wrong way to interpret them ever.
Yeah, and we'll get into some of these creative uses when we finish the back half here. I'm going to do one more straightforward prompt, and then we'll pull some experiments. Rad. Okay, so what we're going to do now is I'm going to speed build a story engine prompt, and then identify, like, hey, I've got two characters here that I could learn more about by giving them a relationship. So I'm going to do that after we've already put them into play. So I'm going to move this like right up to the edge of the frame. And I'm just going to go ahead and speed build one here. I'll explain what I'm doing. I'm drawing an agent card. I'm going to go with, oh, God, it's really interesting. I'm going to go with a superhuman as this character. I'm going to give them a regular engine. As we talked about, this is a regular card from the main deck. Do they want to control someone, or do they want to shirk responsibility for something? I'm going to say they want to control something. I'm going to be doing a slightly compressed version of our prompt format here. So I'm going to be tucking this underneath in a way that we wouldn't normally see, but we have a superhuman wants to control. What do they want to control? Well, we saw it earlier: a staircase, a facility, a tattoo, or a lock. A facility is really interesting for this one, especially if the superhuman was like spawned in a facility or something. So I'm going to put that in the middle for now. We've got, I'm now going to draw another agent who's going to have their own motivation pointed towards the facility here. An investigator, a conspiracy theorist, a journalist, or a scientist. These are all so interesting. I'm actually not going to choose yet. I'm going to just put this here. I know the character is one of these things. I'm going to pick their motivation after I see what their engine is, because I want to see what their relationship to this facility is. Do they want to find redemption in or for the facility? Do they want to find a way back to a facility? I'm going to very briefly digress to say how interesting this combination is. The scientist who works there and wants to prove that it's not all bad, even if it's like a terrible science facility that's doing horrible experiments. An investigator or conspiracy theorist who like found their way to a secret government facility and doesn't know how to get back there because they were conked on the head and thrown out. And they're still trying to find their way back. Same thing for journalists would work really interestingly there, or a journalist who thinks that people don't understand a facility and the important work that it's doing and wants to change its reputation. There are so many great pairings here. I'm going to right now go with, there's so many like stories about like the evil scientist. I want to try the scientist who's like trying to say like, actually the work we do here is really important and people need to understand it, just, even though things went bad one time. I'm going to put that here. Normally, when you're building prompts, you will draw conflict cards and tuck them and add them underneath here. Just for the sake of brevity and clarity, I'm not going to do that. But what we have now is two characters, both who have a relationship with the same anchor point. They both have a connection to this facility. The superhuman wants to control it. The scientist wants to find redemption for it. I'm going to organize them in this direction here so that they are pointing with their engines toward the facility. But who are they to each other? I actually don't know at this point. So what I'm going to do is
This is
organize
a
these cards.
completely new card layout. I have never seen it before.
This is essentially, I just skipped 2 card draws in a Clash of Wills. If you go to a Clash of Wills in the Story Engine guidebook, there'd normally be a conflict here and a conflict here. I'm just stripping some cards out so that we can focus on the new cards. But this is I'm not being that weird. That's all. It's, in my defense, I'm not being that weird. So a superhuman and investigator, they both have a connection to this thing. But who are they to each other? Well, we finished this prompt and we realize, hey, I have 2 characters that exist in a prompt together, and I want to know who they are to each other. You can always choose to take a prompt that you finished or a prompt that you're working on, identify 2 agents, and decide, let's give them a relationship. Let's find out what's going on there. So we draw a relationship engine. Maroki.
Mm-hmm.
This can go in either direction. It can be the superhuman to the investigator or the investigator to the superhuman. Did one of them swear revenge on the other? Is or was one of them in the care of the other? Does one of them have no boundaries with the other? Or is one of them angry at the other?
You know, it's funny. I was thinking about using, I had a very different way of interpreting how I was going to use it, where I would have to choose between 2, like pick becomes 2. It basically, the relationship becomes 2 options where one is angry at the other, but then the other one was in care of the other. And then you like, they would have like opposing relationships with each other in some ways. But being said, I would want to say that the superhuman was in the care of the scientist at one point.
Right. Yeah, sorry. It's supposed to be scientist, my bad. Yes, I love it. Okay. So we'll orient it like this, meaning that this engine points in this direction toward the scientist. Think of this as a little arrowhead pointing this way. The other thing that we're going to do is now add a conflict to that. So they were in, or they are in the care of the scientist. They want to control the facility. And now, this is again a relationship conflict. And now one of them has a feeling they cannot shake. And now things are going in a direction no one expected.
Am I picking this or is Eric picking this?
I know Eric is doing some chat moderation, so I was going to throw at him unless he was available. I'll leave that up to you guys.
Okay, let's see.
So we got our superhuman who was in the care of a scientist, and now one of them has a feeling they cannot shake, and now things are going in a direction no one expected.
I want to go with the feeling they cannot shake. I'm trying to decide who should have that feeling, but that I can also leave that open for interpretation.
Yeah, that's something that doesn't change the orientation of the cards. That's just something that we choose as we interpret it. So yeah, that's the right call there. So we have a little triangle here where they both have a connection to the facility, but they also have a relationship with each other. What are you thinking when you think about, we've got our superhuman who I think that they were spawned in this facility, maybe created by the scientist, or something happened to them, but the facility took them in and like took care of them and taught them how to use their powers. I also think that the scientist maybe something has gone wrong. Maybe there has been some public fiasco where this person's powers detonated in an unexpected moment and caused like a public relations kind of crisis. But the superhuman clearly wants control of the facility, and they probably have some amount of power to do that. It's interesting because they were in the care of the scientist, but they may now have enough power that they don't rely on them for care anymore. And now one of them has a feeling they cannot shake. So many ways to interpret that. What do you
there's almost 2 tropes that I could almost immediately lean to, right? If the scientist has a feeling they cannot shake, I wonder if the scientist knows that the superhuman may or may not want to control the facility and may kill the scientist in order to do it, so they feel like their lives are in danger. I could also see the flip side being true. The superhuman has a feeling they cannot shake. Maybe they actually aren't necessarily like, when they say they want to control something, and sometimes people immediately think towards something possibly like villainous eventually, but maybe control means something different. Like maybe there was a fiasco and things aren't going well and the scientist is not understanding how the facility needs to be carried on. The superhuman may have a strong understanding if they were spawned in the facility, and maybe they have a deeper intrinsic understanding with the science that goes into the work that needs to be done there. So they're hoping that maybe they could inherit the responsibility, and the scientist is not letting them. And maybe the scientist is thinking, hey, maybe if I kill my first pet project, like maybe the superhuman was part of the fiasco, right? Maybe they were like, this was never meant to be sentient, or this was never meant to be as powerful as it was. Like humans don't like that. Maybe the scientist answers to the government or something, and they're like, we don't like that. And maybe the superhuman feels like the scientists, the relationship between them, which might have been one of caring before. I'm thinking a little bit about Frank. Maybe it's because I watched Frankenstein.
I was thinking Frankenstein for some of this.
Yeah,
right?
yeah. This maps actually really well to Frankenstein.
Yeah, like they're thinking, but maybe my creator's gonna kill me.
Yeah. Well, chat, we are about to transition to doing more interactive prompting instead of telling you sort of what we're doing. So, but if you want to pitch us, what is the feeling that that one of them can't shake? So does the superhuman have the feeling, or does the scientist have the feeling? And what is that feeling? I'm really curious to get your pitches and your thoughts and your interpretations. Because at the end of the day, there are so many ways to interpret these prompts. It's why we try to write them in a way that's both specific and open-ended, because it really gets the creative juices flowing. And again, the other thing that I love about this system is that it's so fluid. If we wanted to change this too, a journalist who wants to find their way back to this facility where the superhuman was made, and maybe at some point the superhuman escaped it, was in the care of a journalist who like found them and was like trying to help them, but also get information from them for this story. The superhuman finds that out and is like, oh, it suddenly doubts the journalist's intentions and runs away, and now the journalist doesn't know how to find them or find their way back to the facility. Same cards, all we did is rotate 2 choices to a slightly different choice, and we have another really interesting character dynamic that's super unique to these 2 characters. So this is what I really love about this system. There's so many ways to layer it and use it. You can use it to audition a choice to yourself to see if you like that creative choice, and if you don't, you can alter it. But I like all these choices, so it's great. There's a lot of ways to use it. Let's explore some more of those. So I'd say, chat, why don't you tell us which expansion we want to try this out with? So I'm going to give some choices, and we'll include some boosters in here too. I'm going to grab a die to roll. Got some dice here. The first thing we're going to do is roll this. If we roll an odd number, we'll do boosters. If we roll an even number, we'll do expansions. We're going to do expansions. In that case, y'all get to vote. Would you like to see us use the fantasy expansion, the horror expansion, the science fiction expansion, or the mystery expansion? And before we vote, Maroki, please explain the voting rules. No one
Yes. So we have specific rules when it comes to voting. Don't vote yet. If you're writing in your answer right now, don't hit enter. We will count you down from 3, 2, 1. And when we say vote, you will hit enter and you'll put your vote into the chat. And the first to 3 usually wins. We have learned in the last few live streams, you guys have gotten so good at this that apparently even YouTube or Facebook can't keep track of the speed that they come in, because I heard that sometimes they're not coming in order. So we're doing it according to our interpretation of what we see as first to 3. But we shall do our best to stay fair.
All right. So you can preload your answer now. It's going to be fantasy, sci-fi or science fiction, horror, or mystery. Go ahead and count us down.
3, 2, 1, go.
And while that's coming in, I just want to answer a couple of questions and thoughts that people have been sharing, saying, this was from Dragon Shadow. But I saw this one that I like coming in because I know we've been noodling around possibly doing something like this in the future. Looking forward to see if anyone's using Story Engine to create the adventure for Dungeon Trials characters. And we've talked about this. We've talked about whether we could use the heroes, our zany heroes in Dungeon Trials, our newest party game that is coming out. The pre-order store is open right now on Backer Kit. We were wondering if, you could replace agents with our zany heroes, and looks like there's an opportunity to create adventures for them as well. And we've been thinking about doing a mashup live stream at some point in the future. And chat, I know everyone's voting right now, but if that's something you guys want to see in the future, we would love, I think Peter, Eric, and I have talked a lot about wanting to do some sort of mashup live stream. Yeah. I think it's fun because we've not really done anything super comedic based either. And Dungeon Trials is nothing but sheer comedy. So I think that would be a really fun opportunity to talk a little bit about writing comedy as well. So yeah, if that's something you guys want to do, please do let us know. Do we know what the vote is?
It looks like it's different on YouTube and in the back end.
I have mystery making it first.
Yeah, I think it is mystery.
Okay, I'm gonna just say we should do mystery because we don't actually get a chance to play with that one as often.
And actually, mystery is it's probably one of the best genres to really explore character relationships, because everyone needs to have an interesting and different connection to the deceased. If it's a murder mystery, which most mysteries are, everyone needs to have their own motive and their own backstory and connection. Everyone also needs to have had a relationship that got complicated at some point with the deceased. If only there was some kind of deck that helps you come up with interesting, complicated, varied relationships on demand. My goodness, there's an expansion just for that. So I'm actually, this is a mystery was a great pick for this one, and we haven't played around with it too much on the live before, so let's do it. Okay, so Written in Blood and Alibi is our mystery expansion. Now, as you know, all of our expansions come with rocks. Psych! This is a thing I love to do. All of these boxes behind me in my display are empty because I keep the cards ready for quick draw. And so, but they keep blowing over whenever I have windows open, so I keep rocks in the bottom of them. It's just a little...
I feel like that's gonna be a gag one year, where like a bunch of people are gonna get expansions, but they're just gonna be filled with rocks.
Yeah,
and like, oh, no one will get the joke but us. And poor Rachel.
An April Fool's expansion where it's like it's the rocks expansion. It's just rocks in a box.
A box of rocks.
We'll send limited rock box expansions to the first 50 people who buy. Oh my god. All right.
It'll be a good time. It'll be a good time. So here, let's I think what we'll do is, so that we get to do a couple different examples, is we're going to do rather than building a prompt and then applying the backstory, we will simply build one with backstory in mind. Cool. Okay, so Written in Blood and Alibi. That's our mystery expansion there. We'll start off by drawing an agent card. I'm just going to pull one randomly from the middle here. So chat, is our character going to be a warden, a police inspector, a judge, or a ship's captain? Why don't you count us down for the vote, Eric?
3, 2, 1, go.
Answering 2 questions while the chat is voting here. I think it was from Keith earlier asking, how often do we at the Story Engine use focus leaves? Do you want to answer that first, Peter?
I don't, but when it comes to Story Engine, I see the matrix. Like I to a certain extent, like I built the architecture of the system. It's meant to model the way that my brain works, so it's not as hard for me to discard information I don't need and focus on information I do. What I have found it incredibly helpful for is teaching people how to use the Story Engine. That's when I use it. So personally, if I'm alone, I don't. If I'm ever showing someone how to use it, I will often grab the focus leaves just because it's so crystal clear visually what's going on if you can just block out the unused cues.
Yeah, I have a super engineer brain, so I think similarly, like I am very easy at orienting things and knowing where the direction I want things to go. But a really good example of how the focus leaves help folks who are experiencing our decks at the first time was we did a photo shoot. We did a Story Engine got a big old glamour shoot back in the fall with a really talented photographer named Andrew Miller, who's a good friend of mine as well. And I kind of like, I might have just thrown the decks at him and said, go forth. And I sent him off with a bunch of accessories as well without really explaining what they were. He was about to leave. He lives in Montreal. And as he was leaving, I said, here, take these. Maybe they'll add flavor to your photos, because he was doing his photo shoot himself. And what happened was he went home, he shot some photos and sent them to us. And he had put a bunch of the Story Engine cards into the focus leaves. And we've never seen anyone do that before because we focus so much on focus leaves being for Lore Masters deck. For folks who are asking, who are wondering what the hell we're talking about, focus leaves, we developed them for Lore Masters deck because of the sheer volume of prompts that tend to happen in Lore Masters deck. But it helps you kind of narrow, gives you a nice little keyhole to show exactly which prompt you're working with. And maybe we'll keep this one for the demo here.
I will say, for me personally, it's like I find, like Peter said, like I can see the matrix. I don't need the focus leaves as much for Story Engine, especially because Story Engine will give you this nice prompt that you can read along the bottom of the cards. for Lore Master's deck, when you have cards getting tucked on every single side, I find that the focus sleeves help a ton. That's where like my brain starts to like glaze over if I have to still process everything.
Yeah, and thank you to the chat who's chiming in with how you're finding the focus sleeves helpful for you as well. Saw that question with regards to what sleeves you should fit your cards in for the focus sleeves. So we actually design the focus sleeves ourselves, which means that they are proprietary to us. It's hard for me to say if you were buying, I guess, like other branded sleeves, what they are meant to fit over. They do fit over our own sleeves. We actually have our own clear sleeves that are specifically designed for the story engine as well, because our cards are a little bit uniquely shaped. I know over the years, our various members of the community have certainly bought different sleeves, as obviously here Keith is suggesting here. So you can buy other sleeves that fit the story engine in. But I know for us, the focus sleeves fit over our sleeves, but I can't say for sure what other sleeves they would fit over. And maybe that's something the community can answer for each other.
Keith has says here that he believes the 75mm Sleeve Kings will do it. In terms of what microns, our sleeves are 60 microns. We tried a bunch of different sleeves out with our manufacturer to feel different thicknesses before we found one that we really liked as a nice medium. And for me, 60 was the sweet spot. 50 is where it starts to feel like penny sleeves. 100, I've tried 100 micron sleeves before, and it feels blocky almost, like the cards stop handling well for me. So I stay away from like the 90, 100 microns. So yeah, ours are 60. I think the Sleeve King ones that Keith is talking about are penny sleeves. I think they're really thin if I remember right, but I could remember wrong. So
yeah, I think sometimes the way we think about it is because we have so many cards, right? Lore Master's deck is 300, Story Engine's 180, and you do want to use have as many of them as possible. It can get quite unwieldy once you sleeve that many cards. However, obviously, you decide what's best for you, right? Yeah. Everyone's tactile experience is a little bit different. I personally don't sleeve the Story Engine cards at all myself. Yeah. That's just the way I like handling cards. But some people really like sleeves. I did remember someone once talking about how sleeves were really important for them because I think they have like they're a little bit impaired in sight, so it actually helped provide like a really strong tactile experience. Either that or they were neurodivergent. One or two, it was an accessibility need for them, and they wanted a sleeve of a really specific thickness, which of course you can either use our sleeves if they work well for you, or use the sleeve with a higher micron if it works well for you.
Yeah.
Yeah, we are not sleeve gatekeepers. You do not need to buy our sleeves. You can buy your own sleeves.
Yeah. I'll say when we design our storage and stuff, we do it based on the specs of our sleeves. Most sleeves will work with everything we do, but we focus on the specs of our sleeves just because designing for anything anyone might be using is too wide of a field to offer a good solution.
Yeah.
So we can vouch for the way our things fit together, but most third-party stuff is going to work fine with our stuff, except with exceptions like specifically if you want to sleeve something within a sleeve. What I'd say is if you use other types of sleeves that don't fit inside these, then unsleeve the card when you put the focus sleeve back on, and then just put it back in its original sleeve when you're done. That'd be my recommendation for how to make that work. Also for Dragon Shadow, I believe our customer service person, Rachel, is watching the stream right now. And if you have ordered in the last like 12 hours, there's a chance that we can modify your order for you. If you get in contact with us at hello@storyenginedeck.com, or through the contact form on the website, and you do so like quickly, like within the next couple of hours, we might be able to modify your order to add the sleeves, so you don't pay extra shipping to order twice. You'll be charged for like the difference of the stuff you're adding, but hopefully it saves you a bit on shipping. That's contingent on if customer service is indeed listening, which I'm like 90% sure they are. And just make sure you say you're at Dragon Shadow 1902 in your message, so that it's very easy for them to find you, and hopefully we can sort that out. But try to do that.
Well, next hour. We get 60 emails saying I am at Dragon Shadow.
I am Spartacus.
Yeah, now we're gonna.
No one, please don't. I am Spartacus us on this one, please. We're trying to do it. We're trying to do a nice one-off thing for a customer that we can't normally guarantee to be able to do, but I think because we have the right elements in the right place, we can try and do it this time. If Dragon Shadow.
It is a nice thing that we try to do for every customer when we can. Basically, our general policy is if you make an order, you want to modify it before it gets sent, you're always welcome to reach out. If it has
joking, because what are you about to promise?
I'm not promising anything. This is ours. It's like if the caveat is that if it's already been sent, we can't make any changes at that point. So it's like if you send an order and you get us quick, yes, we can make changes. The caveat being it is like when you place an order, it automatically gets sent to our fulfillment hubs, and it's like if it's already gone out the door, we can't make changes.
Be good customers, kids. Do not take advantage of all of Eric's promises.
It's not a promise. It's like we want to help where we can. Just please be patient. Like we are. Sometimes things move fast, and sometimes we can't always make those changes, and we try to be honest about that in those cases.
Yeah. And
anyway, the warden won.
And we do have confirmation that customer service is standing by. So, but that said, don't if you decide not to, don't worry about it. This is just we have the right people in the right place at the right moment to offer this time. So, let's get back to our prompts though. We have a warden, who is going to be our character. Now let's give them a relationship engine. In this case, I'm actually going to do a little bit of flipping things around because again, this is when we're allowed to get weird. Sometimes I like to know what the two character types are before I choose the relationship. So I'm going to draw the next agent now and then draw the relationship. You can do it any order you like. This is just the way that I like to do it. So our warden, do they have a relationship with a socialite, a tycoon, an eyewitness, or a polymath? Maruki, why don't you count us down for a vote, and folks get your vote ready here. Socialite, tycoon, eyewitness, polymath.
Okay. Vote in 3, 2, 1, go. I think we had another question that came in too. I'm going to try and answer this one slightly more quickly than what we did last time, if nothing else, so that we can avoid doing more generous, awesome things. Not that we don't want to do all the things that we can, but I do know that it becomes very difficult when we're trying to solve some of these things in live time. So I try not to offer that right away. However, being said, we have this question here that came in saying the prompts being created are really great. Which deck do you recommend to start with that you would have? What deck would you recommend to start with? Well, I think in this case, we would say Story Engine. Story Engine deck is our very first deck that we've ever made. It is the deck that we are using today to feature our expansions with, our new character questions expansion set and the relationships expansion today. I think it's one of the ones where you can just literally pull the box open and you can create a prompt in seconds. We're showing you. I know we're doing a little bit longer this time because of the fact that the chat is
having fun.
Yeah, we're having fun, but most of the time, you can literally do this in literal seconds if you're doing it yourself. So I guess Eyewitness won.
Eyewitness
did.
Let's give them a relationship. Let's do it.
Okay.
Okay. So, relationship engine. And the nice thing about picking two characters first is we can also choose to orient the relationship in either direction. At this point, that'll be hard to coordinate through votes. So what I'm going to say is we'll vote as though it's the warden to the eyewitness for the sake of simplicity here. So did the warden promise something to an eyewitness, which is, that's really interesting. That's a good start. Is a warden finally ready or was finally ready to forgive an eyewitness? Is a warden just coincidentally moving to the same place as an eyewitness? That's so interesting from like a witness protection perspective. Or is a warden holding a grudge against an eyewitness? So you can go ahead and vote for promised, forgive, moving, or grudge. Again, you can vote for promised, forgive, moving, or grudge. And why don't you count us down, Eric?
3, 2, 1, go. I was going to say
Ricky Chevron calling the shot there.
What happened?
Just like calling the shot, like voting for a combo corner tuck is a bold move, and I love it.
Oh yeah, immediately.
That's just the kind of person Ricky Chevron is. All right, we got.
I'm letting someone else count. This moves so fast that I can't. Like sometimes I'm like starting to count, and then the whole thing shifts up again.
Promised, I think, is our winner.
Yeah, and you know what?
Oh,
calling a shot like that, I think we try and do a corner tuck. I think we try and honor that. Okay.
Sometimes you can break the rules and pitch something different in the chat.
Yeah, we're not always going to reward it. We're not promising that, but we can definitely we can try. All right, so let's go ahead and draw a. Well, actually, this is going to be a vote. Should we draw a relationship conflict, or as was pitched in the chat, Where's my backstories? Here they are. Oh, the thing that's gonna be a little bit weird about this is the backstories they have a diagonal orientation, because I thought it would look really cool if they looked like a fast forward and rewind button when you place them on top of each other. And that actually is the rewind symbol for the expansion, so it works out in kind of a cool way. However, it does make it combining it a little bit odd. But you can go ahead and vote for, do you want to do a backstory conflict or a relationship conflict paired with it? Actually, we're not going to do that as a vote. We're going to do both, and then people vote for which prompt they want. That's how we'll do it.
Okay.
Okay, so, and now one of them wants to stop settling for less. And now one of them is changing beyond recognition. And now the ghost of it is starting to haunt them. And now they are learning they were not the only one. So, I'm going to read them all again and say what the keyword is. And now one of them is changing beyond recognition. It will be changing. And now one of them wants to stop settling for less. Will be settling. And now the ghost of it is starting to haunt them. Will be ghost. And now they are learning they were not the only one. Will be learning. Maroki, why don't you count us down?
Okay. 3, 2, 1, and vote. And if I missed your questions at any point in the chat, you can throw them in again. I've been trying to keep track of them as things are going. But especially once the voting starts, it gets a little bit unruly. I will say, I'm glad to hear some of you are really interested in doing a dungeon tryouts and story engine mashup, which may mean we just have to do something like that in the future as well. Story engine teamed up with dungeon tryouts. I mean, I personally think it's great. And again, I think it's going to be a really good opportunity to explore comedy, which is something we don't get to do. I know we do a lot of silly things in our dungeon tryout based live streams because we just are pitching our weird adventurers like nobody's business. But being said, I think trying to concisely put them into a story with their own engines and conflicts could be quite interesting. So maybe something to put on the docket in the future for sure. And for those of you who are part of the Story Engine family who are like, what is everyone even talking about? Dungeon Tryouts is our fun new party game where you get a chance to pitch a bunch of zany adventurers for even weirder quests. And it's a really quick game, family friendly, that folks can come together. And it's just us, trying out a new side of being creative at the Story Engine. And you can check it out at storyengine.com/dungeon-tryouts, which would take you to our pre-order store, and you can learn more about it there. I won't get too deep into it today since it is the relationships expansion taking the stage after all.
So we had, and now the ghost of it is starting to haunt them. And this is actually normally the orientation that we would play.
I think the only one won.
I have in
I definitely have only one.
Okay, I've got. I'll touch them again in order. That's why I've been going through the votes in order visually, because this is we got to pick one person's feed to go with. So I've got. I
have
ghost, only one, changing, ghost, learning.
Learning is the same as learning and only one are the same.
Oh, okay. Well, then actually, I've got 4 learnings before. Hold on. No, ghost is different from learning. Oh, yeah, I see. Oh,
learning and only one is the same.
Got it. Okay, then I'll do this. Okay. We've got a warden is holding a grudge against an eyewitness, and now they are learning they are not the only one. So multiple people want this eyewitness silenced, dead, out of the way, or maybe they're holding a grudge because the eyewitness didn't speak up, and they want them to. There's a lot of ways we can read this. So I think let's keep building in this story space. We're going to move these up here. I think let's just decide that a murder happened and figure out who the body is. And we're going to give the eyewitness a connection to the body. So we're going to draw an agent card for the body, and then we're going to build another relationship between the eyewitness and the deceased. And we'll figure out who they were to each other.
Okay.
So, our agent, again from the mystery expansion, is our body a fixer, a femme fatale, a cleaner, or a hustler? So you can vote for fixer, femme fatale, cleaner, or hustler. And Maroki, why don't you count us down?
3, 2, 1, and go.
What are you thinking here?
I keep thinking of Shawshank Redemption right now is what I actually keep thinking of.
Yeah, I can see that. I can see that.
I won't lie. I've been thinking of going completely off the rails, and I was like, what if we pulled a romance expansion agent and things just get really strange after a period of time? I was thinking about that a little bit when we were actually a one prompt ago when we were looking at our superhuman and scientists. I was like, the care of, and I was like, I don't know, there's something romantic in all of it. Maybe it's because I just watched Del Toro's Frankenstein and still in that phase. But Femme Fatale was actually interesting to me. It seemed like not one that I would normally decide, but it's I like picking. I try going off the path like occasionally.
Well, cleaner got it in this case.
I think cleaner did.
Although I also really like the idea of like a femme fatale, but she's like a janitor. So like she has everything that you normally have a femme fatale have, but like is in clothes you wouldn't normally associate with that. There's something that I think that's kind of fun about the combination of tropes there.
Yeah, for sure. And I mean, definitely that kind of thing where if we are trying not to get too deep in the tropes or create unique characters, finding a way to combine prompts like that.
Yeah. All right. I'm going to keep doing the focus leaves just because we've been doing it already. All right. So let's come up with a relationship between the eyewitness and the cleaner. Now, here's something interesting. Is whatever the conflict card is going to read really weird if one of the people is dead. So we're going to start with at least the relationship engine part, and then we'll see if we need a conflict at all. I've never had to do a story about a dead body before.
It does make it a little bit rough in the whole where does the relationship go next phase.
It could be like a flashback moment.
Yes, I was going to say exactly the same thing. This could be how things, what happened just before they died, or sometime before they died. So yeah, let's go ahead and try relationship engine. So, did the cleaner walk out on the eyewitness? Were they head over heels for the eyewitness? Did they? I'll make this past tense. Did they want to trust the eyewitness, or were they trying to sabotage the eyewitness? So you can go ahead and vote for walked out, head over heels, trust, or sabotage. And Maroki, why don't you count us down?
3, 2, 1, and vote. And I think should all vote for head over heels, given that I was talking about romance earlier. Just, I'm not trying to overthrow democracy, but I would like to influence the chat. Although I think everyone else already voted for something else. Which is okay.
Trust, head over heels, walked out, sabotage. Walked out, head over heels, walked out, gets it. Shout out to the Beastie Boys, though. Okay, so we did get it to walked out on. So the cleaner walked out on the eyewitness. I'm actually going to reposition this slightly so that it just reads more clearly. And then we're not going to vote yet. I'm just going to pull a relationship conflict and a backstory conflict and just see if any of them make sense here. I know one of them feels like they're in too deep. That could be what happened just before they passed. And now a painful piece of history is about to resurface. That works actually after the person is post-deceased. And now the future depends on them remembering exactly what happened. Oh my goodness, that is an eyewitness cue if I've ever heard one. And now they're discovering their memories of it are false. That's also so good for an eyewitness. Okay, hold on, we're cooking here, folks. All right, you do get to vote. Your options are, and now one of them feels like they're in too deep, which will be deep. And now a painful piece of history is about to resurface, which will be history. And now they're discovering their memories of it are false. We will do false for that one, false. And now the future depends on them remembering exactly what happened. We'll call that remembering. So you've got remembering, false. Did I say deep or feels?
Deep.
Or history. And go ahead and count us down, Maroki.
I'll let Eric count us down.
3, 2, 1, go.
Yeah, it's interesting. People saying things like it's sounding like The Watchmen. This is why, like, sometimes it's like the idea of troping, right? Like even the scientist in the laboratory story, right, reminded me a little bit of The Watchmen and Dr. Manhattan. It's like we all follow these tropes in terms of the stories we want to create. And the reason why I was picking the femme fatale was like a moment of trying to break that. Not to say that tropes aren't valuable. Obviously, we all love tropes. I mean, best friends and bitter rivals literally is the like most infamous trope out there for relationships. Did we get it?
I think false.
I know. I can see like a landslide happening in the chat.
Although we got such a good pitch, another called shot that I want to honor here. It's gonna be hard to represent this visually, but where was it? False and remembering. So they have false memories, but it really matters that they remember it right. I think that adds a really like high stakes intention. So I'm going to. None of this is conventional. I'm attaching the
We'll not
conflict.
find this in the Story Engine guidebook. This is called Peter's Ultra Advanced Tutorial, where we're about to do something no one's ever seen before.
So it's kind of a version of something that is legit, but so something you can do in Story Engine is if you have a conflict where you like both of the options, you turn it sideways, and it indicates that the character has to choose between those outcomes. You basically, I don't want to decide. I'm going to make the character choose. We can sort of do that by turning the backstory conflict sideways as well and putting it between them. The thing that's a bit weird here is that the they usually refers to the character that the engine and motivation are attached to. Here, the they is connected to the eyewitness, not the cleaner. Yeah, I think this is already fascinating and tangled, and like we've got a really good setup for a murder mystery here. I think we should add one more character with a connection to the body, just so that things are really confusing. And we've got like multiple people who each had a reason to do it. We've got a warden who has a relationship with them, and I think with the cleaner who's dead as well. We've got we got so much we can cook with here. So I'm gonna do one more agent card. A mystery writer who frequently do show up in mysteries. Just ask Angela Lansbury.
I was gonna say murder, she wrote.
Yeah. An antiquities dealer, or sorry, antiquities collector, a duke, or a ringleader. So it's a mystery writer, an antiquities collector, a duke, and a ringleader. Eric, count us down.
3, 2, 1, go.
When you were talking about the conflicts laying on their sides, I was, one of the things we haven't talked a lot about on this live stream specifically is relationships for NPCs if you are a DM, and the idea of like having the character have an outcome that's one side or the other would be really fun if you're playing something like D&D if you have NPCs, because then you can say you come and you encounter something, you don't know the outcome yet, you show them the options, and either the party can vote or you roll a dice and you just like find out in the heat of the moment whether something is happening or not.
Yeah, it would actually be. This is something that we should write a blog about for solo RPG, Moroki, because you can basically create a choose your own adventure framework by giving someone two conflicts they have to choose between.
Yeah.
You could. Oh my god, this is Galaxy Brain moment. I can't just abandon the live stream to work on this and also have to do fencing when this is over.
No, you absolutely cannot.
Peter just dipped.
But
someone I was like, I usually have a stack of Post-it notes in front of me, but we clear our table every time for the live stream so that there isn't a giant mess. But yes, I can see Eric opening a document right now. He's writing it very quickly.
Choose your own adventure for solo RPG
with like conflict cards on their side and rolling dice and all that stuff. We'll use that as a tag. Chat can hold us accountable. It's like, 5 live streams later, they'll be like, what about that blog you guys promised us? It's like the Pelican. The Pelican's just going to come back like forevermore ever since it's been locked in.
I believe the Antiquities Collector won.
I believe so as well. My apologies for the glare. I don't think I'm going to be able to fix that. But that is an Antiquities Collector, believe it or not.
It's so rare. He's like hiding he's hiding his collection.
It's a precious metal, and it's just like it's just perfect. Wherever you put it in the room, it always catches the light.
Yeah. There we go.
Okay, so yeah, I was wondering if someone's going to bring up the pickle shelf. And yes, the pickle.
Oh my god, I forgot about the pickle shelf.
If you want to know about the pickle shelf, watch our live stream, which was about solo RPGs with Claire Marshall, fantasy and sci-fi author, Fairy Ink Press. Really, really fantastic live stream, and you'll find out about the pickle shelf there, which is actually something I recommend, a practice that I recommend Story Engine deck users consider trying with any prompt that they're building.
You guys have good memories. I feel like we're gonna have to host a live stream once called like the Easter hunt or the egg hunt live stream, like find the MacGuffin, and we're gonna pull out a lot of weird Easter eggs, and everyone has to like shout in like which live stream it came from, and the one with the most right answers gets like a random present.
I mean, the other problem is putting together because I think they know it better than I do.
I know.
How would we assemble this?
A lot of work. Because, it's not like we have anything else to do in our own time.
Oh, gosh. Yeah. It's been a busy month. A busy month. All right. So our antiquities collector, vis-a-vis our cleaner who walked out on the eyewitness and was killed. Are they siblings or cousins with the cleaner? Were they covering for the cleaner? Were they cozying up to the cleaner? Or were they exploiting the cleaner? So you can go ahead and vote for siblings, cousins, covering, cozying, or exploiting. And Maroki, why don't you count us down?
3, 2, 1, and vote. It's interesting if they were like cozying up to, because let's say if the janitor was like a femme fatale type person, and the one was an antiquities collector, they would almost be like they're I don't know, there either is a class difference, or someone sees something in someone that they aren't. Siblings would be interesting to me too, because it's like here's someone who's, I don't know, allegedly very successful, and then the other one, a cleaner, and maybe is like a little bit down in their life, and they're trying to like help each other out. But it looks like something won very fast.
Exploiting.
Now we can do cozying up to and exploiting, because those could be happening at the same time. They got close to them, my thinking is that the antiquities collector, the cleaner, works at a museum that has so they have after hours access to a space where incredibly valuable antiquities are held. And the collector first got to know them and then befriended them and then used that access to eventually start to say give me your key card, give me your access, give me your whatever, in order to get into the museum, which would of course give them lots of reason to want this person murdered if their thing about them was about to get out. It creates a really interesting relationship there. So I really like, let's make that a corner tuck there. And we will now add a relationship conflict as well. This time we'll just do a relationship conflict, just the one straightforwardly. So we're going to say that this takes place before the cleaner dies. So before the cleaner died, was one of them trying to avoid the other? Or was one of them starting to doubt the other? So you can go ahead and vote for doubt or avoid. And you can vote, and I'll count down this time. 3, 2, 1, go.
And maybe once we land on all of this too, we can give a bit of a summary for all the things that are happening, because I think now that we have definitely created we talk a lot about our little red string conspiracy web. I think we've definitely created one this time.
Ricky Chavron, that's a man who loves a good corner. All right, so we've got our doubt, avoid, doubt. All right.
Doubt clearly got it.
Doubt got it. And I'm going to do something else unconventional here in order to make just the blocking work. I'm putting the conflict on top of the engine, but it just
oh my god, shock and awe. We're just breaking all the rules here.
It makes the text a little bit clearer. All right, so let's review. We have an antiquities collector who was cozying up to and exploiting a museum cleaner, museum custodian in order to get access to the museum after hours. And before the cleaner died, one of them was starting to have doubts about the other. The cleaner walked out on an eyewitness, so I think that maybe they were in a relationship. And actually, it could have even been because the antiquities collector was wooing them, and they thought, I'm going to go with this person instead. So they walked out on the eyewitness. And two things are simultaneously true. The eyewitness, who I think saw some element of what happened with the murder, both is discovering that their memories of the cleaner or maybe of the murder are false, or there's some elements that aren't lining up correctly, and also that the future, like maybe the trial, depends on them remembering correctly exactly what happened. And at the same time, we have a warden who's holding a grudge against the eyewitness, possibly because they can't remember. And actually, it'd be really interesting if the warden knows the eyewitness can't remember, is pressuring the eyewitness to just say this is what happened. If you don't remember and we think this is what happened, don't tell people that you're not sure. Just say that you're sure. The eyewitness won't do that, so the warden is holding a grudge, and they're not the only one holding a grudge. I definitely think the antiquities collector, who is implicated in all this, probably has a reason to want the eyewitness to be quiet and is part of that grudge as well. So one more thing we could do if we wanted to just go full ham here, friends. The warden and the antiquities collector, how do they know each other? Do we want to find out?
I know
Vote. The answer is yes or no, but I think we're gonna get yeses. So let's do it. Let's do it.
We're becoming George Lucas, where just everyone knows each other, even though they're like galaxies and planets apart.
Yeah.
It's like they all were childhood friends somehow.
But that's the thing about a good murder mystery. Everyone needs to have a relationship with everyone, so it makes sense to be able to do things. We also could create a relationship between the antiquities collector and the eyewitness too. We haven't explored that yet, or the cleaner and the warden. But right now, I just want to have a
full circle moment.
Yeah, full circle moment.
That is one of the things that I do like about this deck is like if you ever want to know how two people in your story know each other or if there's a connection, you can always get an answer. That's what I really like about the engine cards.
Yeah.
In terms of just sheer utility.
Yeah.
It gives you something to pin the relationship on right away.
Now, I think I'm gonna call my shot here. I think we're not voting. I think the warden has either accused the antiquities collector of something, or very interestingly, the antiquities collector has accused the warden of something. Because right now the warden is the one who's like on the side of justice and doesn't have any dirt on them. If they have allegations against them, the whole thing gets muddier. So here, that'll be what we vote on here. We're gonna go with accused or was accused by. But my question is, did the antiquities collector accuse the warden, or did the warden accuse the antiquities collector? So to make this simple in the chat, I want you to type the name or type the noun for who did the accusing. Did the warden do the accusing, or did the antiquities collector do the accusing? So you can vote for warden or collector. And Roki, count us down.
3, 2, 1, and vote. I think the thing that I really like about the relationships expansion is that how oftentimes when we're creating stories that there's always these like plot characters who show up and they're just like, I am here to tell you this one important thing, and they just have no relation to everybody. Or we know we can't create a story, like we create our main character, we have our foils, but then we have all these other side characters like the shopkeepers and the police, the citizens, the civilians, the friends, so that, you know, your characters don't just seem to have no friends or no family, but then they just become bodies and we don't really do much with them. And I do find it difficult for me sometimes to have to like craft like, oh my God, like what is the relationship with everybody? Like, do they like each other? Do they not like each other? And I think for me, these cards would be really, really useful in just establishing a lot of flavor for like a lot of the characters and their dynamics with each other super, super fast.
Yeah. And one of the things that I do think is really helpful for like, really helpful about the decks in general is like when you're writing, the last thing you want to do is stop for a long time to figure out one small detail.
Yeah.
Often you just need something, even if it's a placeholder, just to keep you moving, and the details will fall into place as you write. So being able to just pull a card, we're going to work with this for now, I can change it if I want, it's not permanent, really helps you like keep your draft moving, keep progress moving, rather than getting hung up on small details, which is like one of the things that is a huge contributor to writer's block.
Yeah.
Is not being able to make those small decisions and not being able to get something on the page to get you started.
It's easy to get sidetracked too on those small decisions, right? The thing is, I think like a lot of us when we write, we most of the time know where like our very big endpoints are. Like we all have milestones. At least I don't know about you guys, but I always have these milestones. Sometimes I'm not sure what the path to get there is, but the path can be almost anything. It can be this, it can be this. So as long as I'm just given some direction to go to, I know eventually I'm going to fold it all into my milestone anyways.
Yeah, exactly.
What won?
Warden did the accusing. The warden did the accusing. And we'll throw a conflict on there for good measure, because never hurts to have too much conflict. And now one of them is bent on destruction.
Okay.
And now one of them cannot hide their true feelings.
Oh my god. Are we sure we're not pulling some romance into this?
Make them kiss. Make them
Make them
kiss.
kiss.
All right.
True
You go ahead and
feelings
vote.
don't have to be amorous as well.
Murky, what are
Anger's a true feeling.
Murky, what are our keywords for these?
Destruction
Okay.
and kiss.
Okay. You can vote for destruction or kiss. Eric, count us down.
3, 2, 1, go.
Look, there has been so much antagonizing in these relationships. They've all been so fraught. I think it's okay that their true feelings is not anger this time, okay? There's a little bit of love in there somewhere. People even walked out on each other, and now they're dead because of it, okay? Like, at least have some nice positivity. It doesn't always have to be darkness. Everyone's is it kissing? Are we all kissing?
It's kissing got it. But again, we could turn it on its side, friends. They could be wanting to destroy each other and also
wanting to kiss each other.
They also just kind of want to smooch. Maybe they just need to smooch out the tension.
Real Mr. and Mrs. Smith vibes.
Yeah, exactly. So I'm gonna go sideways. When we post this picture, no one's gonna have any idea.
I feel like the aftermath. So if you guys are subscribed to our newsletter at all, you can join up on our website storyenginedeck.com. You can subscribe to our newsletter to be the first to know on all the things that are coming out, whether they are our sales or special events, live streams, random thoughts, creative thoughts that we have for the day. I feel like one of the things we should do is post this picture and say reply to this email and tell us what the heck you think we're trying to tell you here. And or leave in the comments as well, you guys. Like I know everyone drops a lot of the great things in the chat, but if you enjoyed our live stream and you have ideas, and especially the replay crowd, since you guys are getting a chance to see this as well, please do leave in the comments some of the ideas and stories and pitches that you have as well. Would love to know. Yeah.
I love this one.
It's like the old detective retired. You walk in and you see this on the murder board your first day on the job. What's going on?
Yeah. That's great. Well, we appreciate all you guys joining up with us to create the most intense and complex of relationships today.
I think this is the most complex live stream we've done, certainly of the story engine. Lore Master's deck has gotten pretty complex before, but of the story engine, I think this is the most complex prompt we've ever done. Yeah,
you guys learned today the not just the corner tuck, but the sideways
the reverse silence.
The reverse conflict engine tuck, the sideways conflict movement, and various other things that we have invented to get today.
Like we've been watching too much of them. It's like the reverse 360 backhanded mute grab of like the. It's like
this is us watching too much skiing and snowboarding.
I will say the turn the conflict sideways is in there.
No, it's the backstories one though, right?
Doing it with the backstories is entirely new. Where is it though? I was trying to remember. I was rereading the guidebook for the first time in a while recently, and I remembered I hadn't done that in a while, and I really, really liked that move. Oh yeah. Combine the combine. So this is under changing a prompt. So this is like where this is how to like customize your prompt or like kind of get fun or creative with it, especially if you need to workshop your prompt to like figure out how you want it to work. Combine. Turn an engine or a conflict sideways to indicate that both cues apply. Your character now feels two conflicting motivations toward the same thing or must choose between two obstacles and consequences. Does this make your character's desire more complex? What are they willing to do to get what they want? Well, if they're willing to drop a murder charge for a smooch, that could be a great scene. That's all I'm saying.
It's justifiable. There was love involved.
Yeah. Murder 1, love 2.
Yeah. There was a couple of questions I know that came in that let's try and answer them before we log off. I think it was this one here before we log off today. Do we need something to tune in for next week? Well, I guess this is the last time we're going to see each other for a little while. We've been going pretty hard for a while.
It's been 7 straight weeks.
Yeah, because we did 4 weeks of our writing sprints with each other, and then now we have our new expansions. I don't think we have anything planned for the rest of the winter. We're so sorry to say. We have a lot of things in the woodwork. So, of course, please stay on top of our newsletters. Follow us on socials. We're on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, Threads, YouTube, TikTok. I think I got the Blue Sky.
Blue Sky.
We're on all the socials where, sign up to our newsletter to be the first to know on stuff. We will tell you what's coming up next. We have a lot to do, guys. Like, we haven't even told you half the things that we're doing behind the scenes. And we need a little bit of extra time to do it. So unfortunately, this is the last time you're going to see us for now, but I promise you we will be back.
We will definitely be back at some point. If we've learned anything else in these 7 weeks, is that we do like hanging out with you. We also need some time to do the things, to make the things that we're showing off here.
Yeah, we're in the middle of the makey things. In order for you to have your expansions on time in a timely manner, we got to all go back to the drawing board, go to the cutting room floor, go to our edits. For those of you right now who want a live update, our cards have come back from sensitivity, as far as we know, and they're going to eventually go into proofreading. And of course, since you are getting the alpha decks, we're beginning to enter that phase.
We will be sending a feedback form. One of the questions on that form is, do you spot any typos? So the more people put eyes on it, the more likely we are to catch them before we print the final copies.
Yeah. And I will say, literally during this live stream, Maggie emailed me about what we're going to do for the blog and for building those extra romance resources. So to answer the question from Kurama Naruto 09, yes, it is absolutely going to happen. Literally in my inbox right now. It won't happen immediately. It's going to be something that we probably do and release in tandem with the physical release, but it is going to come.
Come with the new timeline.
Yeah. Now, the other thing I was going to say is, the final sensitivity reader literally emailed me also during this live stream. So we have all the sensitivity notes in. I'll be inputting those over the weekend. It's going to proofreading on Monday. You'll see an unproofread version. There is also, depending on when if I get the changes in before our graphic designer exports the print and play, you will either see the unsensitivity reviewed version or the sensitivity reviewed version. I actually don't know what it's going to be. It's going to depend on who wakes up earlier on Saturday. So I've got the time zone advantage, but I also have a busy weekend. So we're gonna see what happens. But yeah. you get to see it in a much rawer form.
Yeah, and there's still a lot of stuff, right? Like, obviously there's the graphics element. We got to lay things out. We got to look at samples and making sure like things are working as good as possible. The factory is currently closed for Lunar New Year, so we won't be hearing from them again for a little bit as they take a well-deserved break. But things are chugging along. We just got to go back to the drawing board. Of course, if you guys like us to come back, make sure you subscribe to our YouTube, leave us comments, smash the like button is what they always say these days. All the cool kids are saying. It helps the algorithm, it helps us, and it'll incentivize for us to come back and do more with you, right?
I think so. It's like we've definitely enjoyed this, especially with the writing sense. We get the sense that people enjoyed them. To answer this question, I don't know if we'll be doing a PDF outtakes from these 3 expansion sets. Having said that, especially with this material, we have gotten more ideas for other things other places where they might show up, either whether it's a body horror expansion or somewhere else.
The thing is, always the more new things we release, we seem to kind of like create a snowball effect.
Yeah.
Of what are all even more new things? We have so many projects, you guys, that you can't even imagine. You guys have asked for a bunch of things that we have in the woodworks, and we're gonna slowly kind of hopefully get them all out to you. We still have some kind of goodies from even Lore Masters deck that we're hoping at trying to like put out in the next little while, and more things to come. The other thing I will say is that I think I kind of alluded to this in the last live stream, so something to kind of leave you all with as we right before we sign off here, but we did sort of say that we might give away our physical copies of the alphas.
Right, yeah.
As well. I haven't quite figured out what how to structure the giveaway yet. I haven't figured out, but all of yous on the live stream, you're the first to know. So the way for you to find out is probably to just stay tuned to our newsletter or our socials, and it'll probably come out through there. But because you guys know, you'll be the first to see it before everyone else, because you'll actually be tuned in and ready.
Yeah,
Little secret message I'm leaving for all here.
And also, big shout out to Kimmy for getting back into your novel and powering towards the end of it. That's huge. That's so awesome. Love it.
Yes.
We always applaud that.
We applaud everyone who's always being creative at any given point, and it doesn't always happen. You know, one thing we always say is like creativity we think is fundamental to the human experience. So it doesn't need to always, you know, like if you guys always feel like, oh, well, I need to be published, I need to be this big thing. No, sometimes you just get up and you just write. And you just write. Like what, remember the days when we were children and we just drew for fun? Oh my God. We just wrote a story for fun because we liked it. I remember like hosting small plays, right? Like we played house with our, you know, siblings or our friends, and we put on random plays for our families and friends. Like I think it's what makes us come alive, and it makes us better at all our everyday work and our relationships with each other when we do so. Oh, our real life relationships.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, exactly. Well, thank you all for joining us today. You know, it's been an amazing few weeks, and we look forward to seeing you all again. We promise in the future, sooner rather than later.
Yeah. Stay tuned to the newsletter. Let us know if you have questions, as always, in the chat and in the comments once the chat is over. And somebody said it in the comments, and we always forget to say it out loud. Where is it? Don't forget to like. If you could like the video, that'd be great. Appreciate
Like
that.
fun.
Yeah, if you're watching now or you're in the replay crew, hit the like. We always appreciate it. And we'll see you in the next one. Bye, everybody. Bye.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.